A Brief Life of Edward de Vere by John Aubrey. This Earl of Oxford, making of his low obeisance to Queen Elizabeth, happened to let a fart, at which he was so abashed and ashamed that he went to travel 7 years. On his return the Queen welcomed him home and said, "My lord, I had forgot the fart." Mr. Nicholas Hill was one of the most learned men of his time, a great mathematician and philosopher, and a poet and traveler, but no writer that I ever heard of, or if he was, his writings had the usual fate of those not printed in the author's lifetime. He was, or leaning, a Roman Catholic. He was so eminent for knowledge that he was the favorite of the great Earl of Oxford, who had him to accompany him in his travels. He was his steward, which were so splendid and sumptuous that he lived at Florence in more grandeur than the Duke of Tuscany. This earl spent £40,000 per annum in 7 years' travel. In his travels with his lord, I forget whither, Italy or Germany, but I think the former, a poor man begged him to give him a penny. "A penny," said Mr. Hill, "what dost say to £10?" "Ah, £10," said the beggar, "that would make a man happy." N. Hill gave him immediately £10 and put it down upon account, item, to a beggar £10, to make him happy, which his lordship allowed, and was well pleased at it. As I have heard, it was the great antiquary King Charles I, his observation, that the three ancientest families of Europe for nobility were the Veres in England, Earls of Oxford, and the Fitzgeralds in Ireland, Earls of Kildare, and the Montmorency in France. Surliness and inurbanity, too common in England, chastise these very severely. A better instance of a squeamish and disobliging, slighting, insolent, proud fellow, perhaps, cannot be found than in Gwyn, the Earl of Oxford's secretary. No reason satisfies him, but he overweens and cuts some sour faces that would turn the milk in a fair lady's breast.